Okay, so believe all women. Now, I've always said we should believe facts and evidence over narratives. And in the past, we actually believe the narratives over facts and evidence. See, back in the day, women were being assaulted and not being believed. Let's just call it what it is. Even when they had evidence, that evidence was being ignored. Some easy examples: Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and other men were doing this to women, but the fact that they were doing it and any evidence that these women were putting forward that this happened was just being ignored, even to the point where it became a running joke where everyone knew that's what these men were doing, but no one did anything to stop it. For instance, when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, here's Courtney Love essentially telling the whole world that, hey, this guy's doing this, but no one really cares. Check out this clip.
More women worldwide have come forward to accuse producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual misconduct. Actress, director Asia Argento and 2 Italian models say they were sexually assaulted by Weinstein. British actress Lisette Anthony told police last week that Weinstein attacked her in her London home in the 80s. Courtney Love has also spoken out. A video of the rock star in 2005 came out showing the star warning young women in Hollywood about the movie Titan.
Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party and 4 seasons stuff. Yeah.
Love tweeted Saturday saying, "Although I wasn't one of the victims, or one of his victims, I should say, I was eternally banned by CAA for speaking out against Harvey Weinstein. The Producers Guild will also meet later today to decide whether or not to expel Weinstein's membership."
Now, just to be clear, these women were being assaulted, and it was the liberal Hollywood media establishment who ignored all the evidence and let these perpetrators continue to do what they do. Then we had revolution, the Me Too movement. Now, the Me Too movement was simply a backlash to believing men and ignoring the evidence that women were being assaulted. So then it turned around to, well, we're just going to believe all women. Essentially the opposite of what was happening before. Now, we were supposed to believe women and ignore any evidence that contradicted that narrative. So with the Me Too movement, a man accused, even without any evidence, was to be destroyed, and his life was to be ruined just over the allegations. Remember, believe all women, and even the liars, right? You'd even believe the liars because we were righting the wrongs of the past. It was essentially okay that an innocent man's life would be ruined without any evidence, because it wasn't about justice at this point in time. It was about revenge. Revenge was the name of the game. Now, this all came to a head during the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, obviously, where the public could see that Amber Heard was obviously lying to the public. Remember, she literally changed her story on the stand to try to make him seem like he was this horrible abuser when all the evidence pointed to the contrary. All the witnesses, all the physical evidence. It was overwhelming how bad that trial went for Amber Heard. But the media continued to say she should be believed, even in spite of the evidence. Because remember, the media was pushing believe the narrative and not believe the facts and evidence. But that trial did a lot to push the notion that logic and due process should be what we're looking for in these situations, right? Don't believe anyone. Don't believe the man, don't believe the woman based on blind belief, but believe facts and evidence. And that should dictate how these cases are to be evaluated, not the fact of your gender, right? If you're a woman, we believe you. If you're a man, we believe you. That should be gone. It should be, what are the facts and evidence around in this case? So now with that, here's a story from Florida where a woman was claiming to be assaulted, and things changed when police actually looked at the evidence and ignored the narrative that this woman was portraying. So let's look at the news report and see what's going on.
Well, this story is almost just as wild as that one. This woman from South Dakota traveled to Tampa Bay to cheat on her husband, but wound up facing criminal charges. That's because Renee Skoglund filed a false police report while she was here, and you won't believe what she claimed in that report and why she did it. Fox 13's Gloria Gomez shows us how her trail of lies landed her in front of a judge.
Do you have any questions?
Your Honor, if we could request from the court.
South Dakota resident Renee Skoglund is far from home and in legal hot water that even surprised the judge.
This is really unbelievable.
Skoglund's trail of lies started on March 8th of 2023, when she decided to come to Tampa Bay and cheat on her husband.
that she had had consensual sexual intercourse with an individual while in Hillsborough County, that she felt guilty about this due to her marital status, and she wanted to get checked for sexual transmitted diseases.
But she wanted to get tested for free, so she decided to lie again and call 911.
Now think about this. She wanted to get checked for an STD for free. So instead of just copying the, hey, I had sex with blah, 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 she lied and said she was assaulted in this way. Now, a lot of you would be like, well, wow, that's crazy. But let's take this from the believe all women's perspective, right? Just believe her, right? She's a woman and she's saying this happened to her. And the scary part about this is listen to these women on the street who are straight up asked, should you believe all women blindly? Listen to what they're saying.
How important is it to believe women?
I think it's very important.
Very.
It's totally, you believe men, why don't you believe women? Same thing.
It's important, right?
What's this? Yes.
Well, of course, we should believe women.
It's important.
Duh.
And it will always be important.
I'm someone who was sexually assaulted. And yeah, it happened in high school. And I was told not to do anything about it because the guy was the star soccer player in high school, so nobody would believe me.
Absolutely important. No one believed me. I did 35 years in jail for killing my abuser. So I have very strong feelings.
Tara Reid, she's the one who's accusing Joe Biden of sexual assault. Do you believe her?
I think she's an employee of Trump. I think she's despicable.
Do you guys believe Tara Reid? The allegations?
No.
So you see that? Believe all women until a woman is saying that Joe Biden, the person who obviously they want to vote for, these Democrats want to vote for, now it's kind of like, oh, she's a plant. Don't believe her, right? So you see how wild it is to take the narrative of believe all women, because it turns into such a subjective thing. And again, this other woman said, hey, for 30 years, I had to deal with this for 30 years. Nobody believed me. But when it's politically inconvenient for them, they're okay with not believing these women. So believe all women when it's convenient. But now, this is, I think, the problem, is that we shouldn't just believe anyone. We should believe the facts, circumstances around the situation and determine if we can verify. Now, I want to make it very clear. If someone comes to the police department or anyone and say, this happened to me, your first instance is to believe them. Take that situation, take those circumstances seriously. But your second inclination is to now investigate, make sure that these things happen, see what evidence the person has to help portray, to say, okay, this is actually true, right? You take them seriously. But that doesn't mean that the person whose the allegations are against is automatically guilty or that that's even happened. You need to evaluate them independently and objectively and not just believing something happened because of the gender of the person who's saying it. That's ridiculous. That makes no sense. It didn't make any sense when we believed men over women, and it makes no sense now when we want to believe women over men, because it lends itself to things like this, where it's not about, as you can see, it's not about what actually happened. It's not about any facts. It's about how you feel. And that's extremely dangerous when it comes to taking away somebody's freedom, when destroying someone's life. So in this case, that's what this woman seemingly intended to do. Destroy some innocent man's life because she didn't want to pay for the STD testing. Here's her 911 phone call.
I was just raped.
I'm sorry?
I was just raped.
Okay, how long ago did this happen?
Maybe like 45 minutes ago.
Coughlin made up a story about having car trouble on Interstate 75 and pulling over on the side of the road.
An unknown male approached her, put a towel over her head, and forced her into the back seat of her car.
He put rope on my hands and my feet.
Because her face was covered, she couldn't describe her attacker, but her story started to unravel when police checked her cell phone and found this Walmart surveillance video of Skoglund buying the rope herself.
You see why you need to believe facts and evidence over narratives? This woman called 911. She had rope. She planned this whole thing out. And if we were under this whole believe all women, even the ones that lie, someone could be doing possibly decades in prison over this woman's lies. And now that you have the undisputed facts that this woman is lying, there's still going to be some people, probably even in this comment section, that says she should be believed, even though the facts and evidence are right there. And again, this is the danger when you give away the presumption of innocence, when you give away the art of trying to understand each situation on its own and understand what the facts are that determine if this person is guilty or not. In this particular case, the police said, let's look at the facts. And the facts have shown that this woman is lying. And I believe this woman should go to jail, because don't forget, if some guy was caught and she said this guy was the guy that did it and they didn't have this evidence and we were still in the believe all women stages, this guy would be doing years in prison, right? For a crime that he probably didn't even commit. And she is willfully making it up. Insane, right? Insane.
She confessed to making the whole thing up. She was charged with making a false police report and decided to take a plea deal.
I never sentenced anybody for perjury, but it's a good reminder to everybody that perjury is a crime, and all of this stuff that you made up and the resources expended on it could have been used and probably needed to be used by other cases that were real.
Skoglund will now serve 2 years of community control and 8 years of probation. And she will also have to repay the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office over $17,000 to investigate her fake rape claim.
Now, I'm going to tell you people, I believe she got off extremely light. I believe she got off light. And that's because she's doing no time in prison. She's just got to pay back the $70,000, which is probably going to take her some time to pay back. But I believe she got off light. I believe she should be spending her behind a jail cell. Maybe 6 months, I think, maybe to a year. But let me know how you feel in the comment section, because I think cases like this are shocking, but I also think they're not as rare as people want them to be. And I think the aftermath of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard saga, what that showed us is that this is real. And just as it was dangerous as it was for us to only believe men and not believe women, it's just as dangerous for us to only believe women and not believe men, right? Facts and evidence should drive how we treat these things and what we believe. But again, they'll call me a right-wing lunatic. They'll say I'm against women because they believe that if you don't believe all women, you're a misogynist. Let me know in the comment section where I'm wrong. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.